This presentation is going to be about how the United States developed human rights for its people over time. The United States will prove to be a leader at some times and far behind at others. There will be many advances forward and a few steps backwards as well. The Declaration of Independence was revolutionary at the time of its creation in 1776. Not only was it a step towards freedom from Great Britain, but it also was a step towards equality between people. However, there are a few issues that appear already with its creation. It states that all men are created equal, which already limits the rights women will be receiving. And if you press further into the meaning behind the Declaration's use of the word man, you will find that it truly only means wealthy white men in the beginning. The Bill of Rights was another forward step for the United States. It granted rights to its people that had been key issues in the past under other countries' rule, like Britain. It also provided freedom of religion, speech, and provided better protection and representation to the citizens of the United States. The Native American genocide was a result of Congress passing the Indian Removal Act in 1830. There are an estimated 4,000 deaths from the Trail of Tears, and even more lives would be ruined in the future because of this event. This can be hailed as one of the most tragic human rights issues in the United States history, only to be rivaled by the Japanese internment camps and slavery. The ending of slavery, although late compared to Europe, was a massive step forward in United States history. The freedom of slaves, or the 13th Amendment, also quickly led to the 14th and 15th Amendments, which granted citizenship and the right to vote to African Americans. This is one of the largest steps forward the United States would take in its human rights movements, but the Jim Crow laws would dampen the effect it had in the South almost to a point of negligence in the early days of the three amendments. The United States also signed the Hague Conventions, which help protect POWs. The Sedition Act of 1920 was a huge step back for human rights. It was a result of the first Red Scare against socialism and people who did not support the United States entering the Great War, or now known as World War I. It was a direct action against the First Amendment, and it led to the imprisonment of thousands. The United States was also a heavy supporter and leader for the creation of the League of Nations, but it failed to join after its creation. After almost 60 years, another group was allowed to join voters in America. The women's suffrage movement had been long and hard fought for, and finally in 1920 it was granted. Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal provided help to the elderly through the creation of Social Security, and it also took more steps towards protection of children with definite bans on child labor. The Japanese internment camps were another tragic moment in U.S. history, as the mistreatment of the Japanese Americans was unnecessary and was similar, although not as extreme, to that of concentration camps in Nazi Germany. The United Nations was also established in 1945 after World War II as a way to provide more and better rights to everyone in the world. The U.S. was the leading country in the creation of the United Nations and still remains as one of its biggest contributors today. It's hard to believe that the segregation of blacks still existed after World War II, but it wasn't until 1954 that Brown won the case against the Board of Education, and until around 1964 when Martin Luther King spoke out against segregation that it would finally come to an end in the United States. This is another sad tale of how the government took away the rights of many Americans and denied them a right to trial over the fear of terrorism because of the recent attacks on the Twin Towers. Inmates at Guantanamo Bay were not treated properly at all, and they were not even provided a fair trial. This is my works citation.